Remember back in the day when you taught me to live and I taught you to pray. We went in the battle together, no matter the weather, we never delayed. You gave me commands, I always obeyed. I never let you go astray. I never thought I'd see the day that you would come and just betray me. Sick of playing silly games, you never loved me anyway. You should not have let me get away, cause now I'm looking for my prey. I'm bigger, I'm better, my mind is a weapon. I won't ever let up. You try to break me down and I'ma just get up. They ask me how I did it, I'ma just tell them I rose up. Survivor. Fight for my life. Coming back stronger. I will arise. I'm a survivor. Fight for my life. Coming back stronger. I will arise. Staring at you from afar, analyzing every scar. Asking myself how we got here. Remember, this is who we are. I am not here for revenge. I did not come to make amends. Not here to repent for my sins. I just came here to win. I just came here to end. I just came here to fight. Show you everything you said I couldn't be. I became overnight. This for the blood, this is for the tears. This is for my pain and my plight. Two walked in, but only one of us is walking out of here tonight. I'm a survivor. For my life, coming back stronger. I will arise. I'm a survivor. Fight for my life, coming back stronger. I will arise.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Wednesday nights at the ANZ ESeries. We're here for round 2 of the GT3 Championship. As always, I'm in the commentary box, and alongside me, we've got Mitchell Patterson, and he is pulling double duties tonight, co-commentating and broadcasting. Mitch, how you going?
I have 3 monitors, all split up twice. I have so much information in front of me, and not enough hands.
Excellent. Tonight, the two of us are live from Daytona International Speedway, where we're running the road circuit in these beautiful GT3 machines. Soon, we'll take you through some of the key corners and the danger zones on this track, because it is an incredibly technical track. People think Daytona, and obviously we know it for the Super Speedway. We've seen a lot of incredible NASCAR races here over the years. However, its road circuit is underrated for my money. It's one of the most difficult circuits on iRacing. We're going to see a lot of cars spinning tonight, and those that can keep it in control and really master trail braking in these GT3 machines are going to come out on top.
You know,
as if to illustrate my point, there's David Atkinson going for a little spin.
You know, I'm really interested to see how our manufacturers stack up this week. We've got it up on screen at the moment, and much like last week, I think anyone that is showing blank is a Porsche, or is that... What are the blank ones again?
I believe they're the new Porsche.
The new Porsche. That's,
I had to put my money on something.
The new Porsche. I've heard the Porsche is rapid, but if I'm being honest, I was sort of expecting that the Ferraris and the BMWs might sort of be the king here with this sort of straight speed that we saw last week at Fuji.
Yeah, you're going to find that they pull away on that back section of the track. Just after out of corner 4, you've got a long straight as we get onto the oval portion of the track, punctuated by only a chicane type area, which we'll show you soon. That's just to slow the cars down and give them a bit of a challenge. Actually, one of the most technical corners on this circuit, and that's where we've just seen Ash Davies take a spin in the 955 numbered vehicle. But the Porsches, yeah, they're going to be rapid, but also the Porsches, particularly the old one, it had a tendency to be a bit of a pendulum times with the back end stepping out mid-corner. It's something I saw a lot in some of the endurance races I've commentated on. So look for that in the Porsches. Look for them to struggle in those longer radius corners, of which there are plenty in this circuit.
Now, there's a lot of, 180 degree there's a couple of 180s, I think, isn't there? Or there's at least one that I can think of, but lots of bus stops and twisties and some sort of medium slower speed corner. And I think what we really saw is that that's where the Porsche really got a lot of its time from in those tracks. It was all, like your infield part of the circuit, of which Daytona does have quite a lengthy infield.
Yeah, if we can get on board with a car just starting in their lap, let's take our viewers through a lap of this magnificent circuit.
Let us find someone who's starting a lap. Is this Teo coming around the final bank right now?
No, that's the first banking. Maybe switch to car 822 or 16. Here we go. We're on board with Dennis Hancock, 822. Just started crossing the start finish line. This corner is so difficult. You approach it with so much speed. You're braking all through here, because you need to carry as much speed for as long as you can if you want to be fast through there. It's not a corner you can just scrub your speed off, get it turned, get an accelerator. No, you have to trail brake. You have to slowly bleed the speed off as you go through that long radius corner. This one's a bit more standard. Get the speed off, get it rotated, get it in, get on the throttle. Next is a tricky left-hander. It's going to be full throttle, but it can be sketchy to go 2x2 through there, and some people will be brave or stupid enough, depending on how you want to classify it, to try and do that. That's why I say it's tricky, because it kind of invites people to come on your inside if you take the optimal line, and then you are both in for a dangerous section of the lap. This corner is crucial. This is the corner that leads you back on to the oval. You need to get your accelerator on as fast as possible. Get on the throttle, because otherwise you're going to be down on speed throughout this straight. Look how long they spend on this banked corner. Look how long they spend on the straight afterwards. You need to be at VMAX for as long as possible, else you are just giving up lap time. Next is the bus stop, which Mitch talked about earlier. Approach it again incredibly quick. You want to bleed off at as little speed as possible while still getting enough rotation to get over that curb and get onto the accelerator back out, because you've got another lengthy straight afterwards. So you cannot give up the exit for the entry. You've got to get the right balance there to be quick.
And I believe if you are a little bit too bold through that bus stop, there is a slowdown over on the left.
There certainly is. There certainly is a slowdown on the left, and it is dangerous. The other thing you're going to see is cars going straight on there as they don't bleed off enough speed, and they end up just ploughing over the grass and trying to scramble on to the banking and the relative safety of the tarmac. That could cause some collisions. It also happens to be one of the main overtaking spots, because it's it's not a big braking zone. You're not down to a low speed, you're only down into 4th gear if you're Dennis Hancock, like we saw on that lap. But it is enough of a braking zone that people can get alongside, particularly if they've got a good run coming out of corner 4. So watch for that to be a action zone throughout the race.
Now, in terms of drivers, we have, what do we count, 21 drivers so far?
I believe so. It's around that 20 mark.
And quite a few returning. We've got Teo, who will remember taking out Heat 1 in spectacular fashion last week. Unfortunately, the rest of his race didn't really turn out the way I think he might have liked it to. Who else have we got further down the field? We've got Fitzroy Bowman and Aaron Obersteller, who had a great little battle in the midfield. Connor Nixon, who I believe is our current championship leader. I actually have a copy of our championship standings that I'll bring up right now.
So there you go, confirming what Mitch said there. Connor Nixon, championship leader at the moment. He's in the server and he is 5th in the practice times, but I wouldn't put too much emphasis on those. It is only practice. Some will be running race setups, some will be running qualifying setups. All depends what the driver feels they need to work on. We won't get a proper read on the competitive order until we get into practice in a few minutes' time. Matthew Brunt is in 2nd place, Tao Serrano in 3rd place. Not much to choose between the 3 of them at the top of this championship after 1 round, as you would expect. Jamie Christensen, he's another 1 in the server in 4th. Fitzroy Bowman in 5th. All these drivers coming back after round 1 for a 2nd slice of the pie.
We'll head back to our practice session now. We've got out on track. Curtis Bird. He's currently
1.5
fastest. I've heard that the 143s are a good time to aim for. That's what the fellas were talking about beforehand. So we've got a couple of drivers in the 143s at the moment. Obviously, this is just practice at the moment. Track state is carried over, so times are likely to improve, as do the drivers. And they are using open setups as well. So whether people are out, they're probably out doing qualifying practice right now, but a couple of them could potentially still be in race trim. But I'm expecting that once we get into qualifying, we'll start to see more of those 143s. So at the moment, we've just got Jake Edwards and Jamie Christensen in the 143s, Teo in the 142s. Then we're going to lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 drivers in 144s, a couple in the 140, a few more in the 145s, and then for some 146s and 147s towards the end of the field.
Yeah, and it doesn't surprise me that we're getting quite a wild field spread here in terms of the practice times. Again, it is only practice, so we'll wait for qualifying to confirm whether this is a true reflection of the grid's pace. But because it's such a difficult circuit, there's a lot of time to be lost in almost every corner. In particular, I'm looking at corner 1, corner 4, and the bus stop at corner 5, because it's so... Wait, have I got that right? Yeah, corner 1, corner 4-ish, and the bus stop, because you come at them at such... Particularly corner 1 and corner 4 and the bus stop, you approach at such a high speed. If you can brake a little bit later, you're carrying that high speed for longer, so you just earn lap time, and it goads you into going too deep. And at corner 1, if you go too deep, you have to lose so much time just to avoid spinning, because you're on the brakes whilst you're turning. And if you're just carrying a little bit too much speed, the back end will rotate and you will spin. So you have to very carefully, if you're carrying too much speed, come off the brakes, get it straightened up a bit, get back on the brakes, and then over brake to turn in, because what you've done is you'll have to have gone wider, deeper into the corner and increase the radius that you eventually need to make the corner. So corner 1, you lose a lot of time if you don't get it right. And then the bus stop, if you get the entry wrong, you just go off too much speed, you lose a lot of time on entry. If you're getting too hot, you lose a lot of time on exit. You can't afford to really get either wrong. Both have to be nailed, otherwise you're losing both of those corners a second if you get it wrong. Quite easily. Certainly half a second can be the difference between getting it okay and getting it good. So that's the kind of difference we're talking about. And most corners, half a second would be perfect to terrible. But in these corners, half a second is just like good to great. There's so much time in each of those corners. So we will have a wild field spread.
I was in with a few of the boys before. They were all turning some laps before the race, and I know one of the gentlemen, Aaron Obersteller, who's one of the broadcasters for we'll be broadcasting tomorrow. He does our Thursday nights, and he found 2-3 tenths just by getting his braking right into turn 1 off the banks.
Yeah, really, really difficult, because again, there's not defined braking zone. There's not a brake in a straight line. You're braking pretty much while steering the whole time. Only lightly, only a little bit of steering lock, and not that much brake because you want to bleed the speed off fairly slowly, but it's so difficult to get that corner right. There's a lot of ways of getting through that corner, and those that find the right way will have a massive advantage of those that don't. But also makes it a good overtaking opportunity because you can take a tighter line and bleed off more speed earlier. You can take a wider line and try and get a better exit. When you're in battle, the time loss for taking a different line isn't so bad that you're going to avoid it. Instead, you're going to do it because you're going to put the car you're overtaking under pressure as well and force them off an optimal line. So look for that to be, again, an action zone throughout the race, and one where we're going to see people spinning and spearing off onto the grass as we watch Corey Bennett as he starts his flying lap in around the mid-pack.
Now, I believe Corey might be the only Lambo we have today, and before anyone starts freaking out, on an unrelated note, we will start getting timings as our drivers cross the line. So no timings yet, just be patient. When they cross the line, we'll know.
Yeah, and that is, of course, because it's qualifying, so we don't care where everybody is on track. That's meaningless in terms of who is winning. For the first time we'll get a read on the competitive picture is when the cars have finished their first flying lap, which they are going to do in about a minute's time. The leaders now on the back straight, and those at the back of the pack just getting towards corner 4 and starting to turn onto that back straight. Like Corey Bennett, he's about 2/3 of the way back through the pack, maybe 3/4. So he's just coming around the banking now, and next corner for him will be the bus stop. Let's see where he brakes and how much speed he's able to carry through here. So drivers will hug that wall as close as they dare on entry to open up the corner for them. They're going to get all over that yellow curb without getting on the grass, all over the second yellow, all over the third yellow. And that fourth one is where Mitch was suggesting that you need to be careful, because if you do get it wrong and you go a bit wide there, perhaps you're carrying a little bit too much speed through and understeer over it, you will get a slowdown, and that could ruin somebody's race.
So we're starting to get some timings through now. No one into the 143s yet. There were a couple of like mid 144s. So Teo did set our standard with a high, sort of a mid-high 42. What was he? 42, 42.8, 42.6?
I believe it was 42.66 if my memory serves.
And there we go. Corey Bennett in with the 143.8. So there's another entry into our 143 class in the Lamborghini, which they were talking about the Lambo beforehand, and they seem to think it might have been a bit of a joke. So either the car's a bit more competitive, or Corey is.
I think that might be Corey. We know he's a talent behind the wheel.
He is devilishly
fast
quick
in pretty much everything he drives. So I'm going to put that down to driver talent. It's something that we recognise more in iRacing than in other disciplines, just because we know that everyone's got a fairly even crack at the whip. So we can put more of the lap time down to the skill of the driver. But I do think in real-world racing, we do sometimes underestimate the impact the car has compared to the driver. Got to remember, it's the driver setting up the car as well. Of course, F1 is its own unique thing. But even in other series, which is like, oh yeah, well he's in the Triple 8, you know, so he's going to be quick. Or he's in IndyCar, like, you know, he's in a McLaren, he's in a Chip Ganassi. They're going to be quick. Well, no. It is down to the driver, and you'll see, even in a spec series, there'll be huge gaps between drivers in the same team, because one driver can get the setup and does the job and the other one doesn't. And just look at, like, you know, Alonso versus Stroll. It just shows you the impact that the drivers have at the top. And in sim racing, where the skill gap between drivers is even wider, they can have even more of an impact. So wouldn't surprise me if Corey Bennett is just really making that thing look better than it is.
Yeah, is he our very own shitbox whisperer? Is he our Fernando Alonso?
I don't know if we go that far. We'll have to give him the rest of the series before we can make a call like that. Come back to us after round 6.
You're right. Maybe I'm getting a bit far ahead of myself. We're what, like 6 minutes into qualifying, and I'm already calling him the shitbox whisperer. You're right. I'm gonna tone myself down a little bit here.
Just to bring you up to speed on what's been happening on track, Tao Serrano has now resumed his natural position at the top of the leaderboard with a 142.869, a second faster than Corey Bennett in the Lamborghini in second place, and the first driver into the 142s. That is a marker.
This man has come back to stamp his name on this series, and he wasn't even sure if he was going to race today. And look, he just turns up, and he's a second faster than our next fastest, Corey.
Yeah, absolutely showing his class with that lap. But it looks like he's having a cool-down lap here, and will either come into the pits or he will go again, depends how much fuel he had. Someone like Tao, he'll back himself to get it done in one lap, I imagine. So I think we'll probably see him come back into pit lane, put some more fuel in the car, and then go again with fresh tyres and a minimal fuel load. Colin Nixon currently in third place, 143.9. It's really tight behind Tao. Second place, you got a 43.8 for Corey Bennett, 43.9 for Colin Nixon, 44.2 for Matthew Broad, 44.3 for Ash Davis. Then a bit of a gap back to Orlando Black and the rest of our runners who are in the 144.9s or 145s.
Now, I've just jumped on with Aaron. I know Aaron is quick, so this 147 I don't think is a representative time for him.
Absolutely not. A 147 is just too far away, isn't it, for it to be a genuine lap. Although on my screen his last lap was a 144.3, so that's fairly reasonable. Wouldn't be surprised if that's
did he maybe get a little off track or something that's invalidated his lap time?
The Aaron Orbistel. No, it says on the standings.
Oh, that's right. It's actually you're right. It has just updated for me now. It's 144.3. Did I jump on with him as he was crossing the line, perhaps?
You could very well have.
Maybe that time was his out lap, and that was just his first hot lap.
Yeah, I believe that will be what has happened. Be interested to see if any drivers struggled a little bit with tyre warm-up. If we, when we talk to them after the race, because I found when I was practicing, it did take me a lap or two to get the tyres in. So some drivers might not quite have the tyres where they want to by the time they start the flying lap if they only do one out lap. So it'll be interesting to know how the drivers have mitigated that.
And it's a pretty long, track as well. So I wonder how the fuel loads are going to play into this. Like, have these guys bought enough fuel on to do a single lap or to do 2 laps?
Yeah, we'll have to see if we can figure out what's going on. Certainly some drivers, Ash Davis on his 4th lap of this run, and he's done a 144.3 to find himself in 6th place currently. So running multiple laps can work. Jake Edwards, he's on his 4 laps. So those are drivers that have done 2 flying laps in a row. Likes of Corey Bennett, he's done a flying lap and he's come back in to do another lap. Now on board with Corey Bennett. Definitely on a cool down lap, just going through the chicane. Not really pushing through there. It's going to get a nice slipstream from the car in front if he stays behind them. So he'll be hoping that they start a flying lap. Slipstream definitely a net benefit around here. You're not going to get that much to the air. The GT3 cars, they do have a bit of downforce. Nothing near the likes of your top end open wheelers. And you spend so long on the straights around here or just on those banked corners that being right behind the car is going to be a benefit as long as they don't get in your way.
Yeah, that will definitely have cost him a little bit of time going into that corner, I think. And even on the exit there, you saw him get a little sideways.
Yeah, you can see that he hadn't got all the rotation done that he wanted to have done by that point at the corner, and as he tried to put the accelerator down, he's just holding a little bit too much left hand down. And that's caused him to get a bit of oversteer as he put on the throttle, so that will have cost him some time.
It actually is... No, it's taking me off him. Let's jump back to Corey, because I'd like to see how his time is stacking up.
So there you go, Sector 1 of 44.736, currently in Sector 2. Do we have a reference time for Sector 1 as to what he's got to match to beat Tao Serrano?
Now, unfortunately, I don't think we can get his best sector, but I can show his last. Where's his last sectors? And they're no good. There's his slow lap. Now, unfortunately, we can't bring up his...
That looks good. This is certainly a push lap, and it's looking pretty good so far. Very hard to tell about the reference times.
Well, it's just flat here. He doesn't have the toe this time, though.
That could cost him.
Not quite. So the difference between improving there, I think was that issue coming into turn one. I don't know. I'd say the time that he would have gained in the toe was probably counterbalanced by the time he lost having to do that inside overtake into turn one. But even with that, I mean, that doesn't move him up any positions, but you know, having a look at Jake Edwards behind him, there's 0.021 of a second between these drivers right now.
Yeah, Jake Edwards having displaced Connor Nixon and getting himself into third place in that bedazzling purple Porsche. No, we won't try and make a point out of that. It's too difficult, too many P's for me to do much with that.
The pretty purple Porsche.
Oh, I like that.
Hey, you're welcome.
PPP. Yeah, so he's in third place at the moment, wrapping the Porsches. Second place the Porsches with Tao Serrano, who's currently our pole position man, provisional pole. The lead Porsche, Corey Bennett the lead Lamborghini, Connor Nixon the lead Ferrari, Aaron Oberstella, apologies, is the lead BMW, Orlando Black the lead and only Mercedes as far as I can see. Then we've got a couple of BMWs further down the field and another Ferrari. So the field is definitely, it's about half Porsches, maybe even just over half, maybe 3/5 Porsches, and then we got a smattering of BMWs, a couple of Ferraris, a Ford and a Lamborghini.
Now,
Matthew Gerard rocking the Ford, and I'll tell you, the Ford is definitely not in favour at the moment in the current balance of performance. And what I mean by that is it's generally the GT3 community in iRacing feels that it's a little bit weaker than the other cars at the moment, so you don't see it as often. Generally what will happen is people over time will come to a consensus of what the strongest cars are, and you'll see all the drivers move over to those cars as they look to be more and more competitive. They get on the forums, they see other drivers saying that this car's quicker, and they'll all gravitate towards 1, 2, 3 cars, whatever, are deemed to be roughly equal in performance. The Ford, however, is not currently deemed in that bracket. So Matthew Gerard, if he can get anything like a decent result, he'll be going against the run of play, because that Ford is not fancied at the moment.
I would be interested to see if... Now, I don't know whether or not people are allowed to change. I think there was some talk about them not being allowed to, but also some talk about them maybe being able to change their chosen cars. But I'd be interested to see...
It is a pick and stick series.
Pardon?
It's a pick and stick series.
Pick and stick
so once you've chosen your car, you will not be able to change it. And the old Porsche is not allowed, only the new Porsche, which is why we haven't seen any of the recently retired GT3 Porsche.
Well, I'll be interested to see whether or not... Actually, look at this. We actually do have another Lambo. We've got... is it Brad Hayes? He's in pit at the moment.
Brad Hayes, yes, Brad Hayes is in a Lamborghini, currently 17th place on the leaderboard with a 1:45.6, which is just shy of 2 seconds slower than Corey Bennett in the lead Lamborghini.
It looks like pretty much everybody is the Porsche the cream of the crop at the moment, because I'm seeing that we're mostly Porsches, a couple of M4s which I know were pretty good, and there's like the last time I raced in any serious fashion in GT3s, the Mercedes was the car, but I'm only seeing only two.
Yeah, I think the Porsche is definitely favoured just because it only just came out. It's a lot of people wanting to play with their new toy. But as far as the BOP is concerned, I do believe the new Porsche is rated quite highly. Whether it's a step above the other vehicles, I'm not across at the moment. Another Lamborghini recently won another GT3 championship that I commentate. And another Ferrari is generally a a fairly decent all-round car and quite easy to handle. So I don't think there's that much to choose between them at the moment. The only thing I do know for sure is that the Ford has definitely been out of favour. We're now heading into the last 3.5 minutes of qualifying, so most of these drivers, they're only going to get 1, maybe 2 more laps in, so this is crunch time. This is when the pressure builds. This is when the drivers will start feeling their pulse in their arms as they grip the wheel. Their grip will start to tighten, they'll tighten up their shoulders, and all of a sudden things will either click, and that little bit of adrenaline will push them to really get everything out of the car, or they'll start making little mistakes as their body tensions, as they get a bit more jerky on the wheel, and they fluff their lines. Let's see who can handle the pressure.
We actually have Brad Hayes in the chat here, who says that he's just a hobby racer, and his goal is a top 15 against this level of competition. And we are more than happy to have you, Brad Hayes, and big props to you for just getting out there, getting involved with the league, and having a good time.
And if you get top 15, we'll commentate it like a win. So there you go.
That's it. Actually, you know what? Yeah, if Brad gets his top 15, we're gonna treat it like that's his P1 this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And if any of the drivers want to send us their personal goals, their stories throughout the season, please do drop us a line. We're more than happy to make to adjust our commentary to your personal goals. Obviously, when we don't know them, we're just going to assume everybody's going for the win. But if you're after a top 10, a top 5, if a top 15 is good for you, even a top 20 in a field of 22, let us know, and we'll adjust our commentary to suit. Likewise, if you've got a great battle brewing with somebody else that you want to highlight, if you always find that you're alongside Orlando Black or Dennis Hancock, and that's a battle that's been raging throughout the series, but you feel like we haven't spotted it, just drop us a line, and again, we'll try to bring you the storylines that matter, not only at the front of the field, but all the way through the field, the storylines that matter to you as drivers watching this back, or that you want shown off to your mates, to your families that may be watching this broadcast. And a big welcome and a thank you to everybody currently watching the broadcast as we come to the last 1.5 minutes qualifying to the laps that will count.
Ben Nothing says that he wants to be top 1 in pain in the arse in the comments.
Wow, job achieved so far.
So far, so good. He's leading the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Leading his own little personal race.
Though I will say, and this maybe goes against what his goal is here, but he also says following faster guys is a great way to learn. And he is spot on. If you're one of the guys that's running around in the 146s and the 145s, don't be disheartened. Get in behind someone, follow them around, watch what they're doing, mark their braking point, their turn-in points. Maybe they're taking a little bit more curb on exit or entry, and that's really where you're going to learn where a lot of this time is, because these top guys are going to be right on the edges of track limits, and if you're not terribly familiar with a track, that's where you can find a lot of time. Just exploring those track limits and following fast guys is going to show you that.
Yeah, getting the right line is going to get your time a lot easier than braking at the absolute latest moment, turning in at the most optimal moment, or getting on the throttle just that little bit earlier. If you're on the wrong line, you're just scraping around the edges. You need to get on the right line, so follow other cars, look where they cut the curbs, look where they give them a wide berth, and you will pick up a lot of time. And that is it for qualifying. Tal Serrano has been in the lead, put that lap in nice and early, and it went unbeaten. Tal Serrano is on pole for round 3 of the ANZ ESeries GT3 Championship.
He may as well have just done one lap and parked it.
So here we go. Tal Serrano takes pole. Corey Bennett alongside him in the Lamborghini, almost a second slower. Jake Edwards lines the front row with Connor Nixon, the lead Ferrari. Matthew Brunner's in 5th, Aaron Obersteller alongside him. On the 4th row, Fitzroy Beaumont and Joshua Horton. We're then followed by Curtis Bird and Ash Davis rounding out the top 10. Orlando Black is in 11th with Dennis Hancock alongside him. We then have Jamie Christensen and David Milne. In 15th is Tom Brown, alongside him is Matthew Gerard. Ryan Grubbs in 17th, with Dale Lube in 18th. Brad Hayes in 19th, he's got 4 positions to make if he wants a top 15 finish, with Steve around alongside him. We then have David Atkinson and Oliver Patterson at the back of the field. Ryan Kemp at the back of the field. Just got it wrong. Shot my load too early.
I think Ryan Kemp maybe didn't set a lap time.
Yeah, I didn't recognize the name, so might not have.
He's either jumped into the session and left, or he has just joined, like a bit of a late.
Yeah, so we will wait and see whether he takes a spot at the back of the field. It will be a rolling start, just like last week. So just waiting for race control to finish their briefing for the drivers and for all the drivers to get on track, line up on the grid. The safety car will then take them away. It will do half a lap, it's starting from just before the bus stop chicane. Tao will then take control of the field as the safety car pulls away, and he will decide when the race goes green, when to put the power down, and when we can go racing. Who's your surprise pick, Mitch? Let's forget about Tao and Corey, who are starting from the lead of the field. Who, a bit further back, do you think is maybe a bit out of place or could spring a surprise?
Who do I think could spring a surprise here? I think I'm expecting Oliver Patterson to make some moves this race.
Yeah.
He's been looking pretty racy in some of our other series, and I'm surprised to see him at the back of the field.
Alright, so you're betting that he's a bit out of position.
He's going to be a mover.
Yeah, it's always good to see a mover. We'll try and keep track for you. Who are the biggest movers in the field? I'm also looking at Jamie Christensen as someone that is a bit out of position. Fourth in the standings, but way down there in the starting grid here for round 3. So look for him to make some maneuvers starting from 13th place. Although, must be noted, 13th, bit of an unlucky number. So hopefully he can ignore that and find his way moving forward so that he can challenge the likes of Tao Serrano and Corey Bennett for the victory in this race. And of course, it's not just one race. We've got 2 races to bring you tonight, both 25 minutes in duration.
So, one thing I would like to point out, one of my favourite battles from Heat 1 of last week was Fitzroy Beaumont and Aaron Obersteller. Are you seeing who's in 6th and 7th right now?
Let me take a guess. Is it Fitzroy Beaumont and Aaron Obersteller?
Yes. How did you guess?
I don't know. It just came to me. Maybe because it's on the screen.
That's the race that I'm keen to see. Well, it's one of the battles that I'm keen to see. You know, we're going to have a lot of storylines developing throughout this season, and that's one of the ones that I've noticed straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to seeing them resume battle as the safety car leads them away. It will quite quickly dart off, and Tao Serrano already looking like he's controlling this lead. Safety car's turn its lights off. It's going to dart away. Going to have to put the hammer down to get away from this pack of highly powered GT3 motor vehicles, because they are racing and they want to get the power down as fast as soon as they can. It feels horrible when you're going this slowly, just waiting, the tension building with every passing second. You're wondering how close you should be to go ahead, because you don't want to give it any advantage that it doesn't need at the start. But also, if you get too close behind it, you're likely to plow into the back of it. So all the drivers making that judgment call now. Drivers that are wide, not going too wide, staying nice down low, keeping the cars on the inside pushed to that yellow line. All being led, of course, by Corey Bennett, who's the lead car on that outside line. Tao Serrano on the inside, so he's got the optimal position for turn 1. Corey Bennett, you'll notice, just keeping his bonnet behind Tao Serrano, not allowed to overtake him, even though they're the 2 lead drivers, has to stay behind the first car. And they are away. It is green flag racing here at Daytona Speedway. Tao Serrano having a brilliant start getting away. Corey Bennett and Jake Edwards already going side by side in the first corner, with Jake Edwards trying to push his way up alongside Corey Bennett as well. No, they all settle down into a line now, coming through that trickier section. There's a bold move around the outside there. I believe that's Jake Edwards going around the outside of Colin Nixon. Is he going to pull it off? Looks like he is, because he's going to have the inside line for the next corner. Connor Nixon down into 4th place after starting on 3rd place. Corey Bennett in 2nd.
We'll get those gaps. We had a couple of drivers take to the grass as well in turn 2, I think, at the entry.
And that's Fitzroy Beaumont and Curtis Bird, I believe, going alongside each other in the middle of that corner. The blimp camera bringing you all of the action from up and down the field on this opening lap. Look at the lead that Tao Serrano's already got over Corey Bennett.
He's got a second already, and he's a few turns in. That said, I will say, Corey is under so much pressure from Jake Edwards and Connor Nixon on that start. Like, he had to take such a defensive line. He just chose to take the inside line for those corners, which is just, it's obviously just going to cost time, but it does give Tao the ability to just start running away and gapping the field.
Yeah, it does, which is exactly what you want when you are the leader. You're just hoping that the people behind you, that they're going to start battling and you're going to have everything your own way at the front of the field, and that's what he's got so far. And with the pace he showed in qualifying, if any of these drivers let him get away, he will just keep going and going and going. He's not gonna try and win the race in the slowest possible manner, like that famous quote. He's gonna try and pummel the whole field, make them feel like they have no answer for his pace. So just watching. So we've got a stop and go penalty for car 68. Not sure who that is or where they are on the screen. Now on board with Joshua Horton. So Horton currently in 6th place, chasing down Matthew Brunt, which is the blue Porsche that you can see ahead of us. Taking a really narrow line through there, not pushing it all the way on the exit, keeping it steady. Just avoiding the curve on the inside there, but getting on the power nice and early, doing a good job trying to get a good run out on this corner. So he'll stay behind Matthew Brunt ahead of him to try and pull a slipstream, because Matthew Brunt has got his own slipstream, so don't expect him to catch Matthew Brunt much through this straight unless there's a difference in setup. This is a big opportunity to try and make some ground going into the bus stop chicane. Let's see what he can do here. Aaron Overstay.
There's a tight little catch up there, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You are going to see the field compress there, just because of the lower speeds. So what you'll find, when you're at lower speeds, obviously, the same difference in time becomes a smaller distance. So you will see cars compress. We call this the domino effect. You're going to see cars compress, and then you're going to see them expand as they go up to high speed. That's because the time between them is staying relatively constant, but the distance fluctuates as their speed fluctuates. Much later on the brakes there. Has he gone too deep? No, he's just so much braver through there. Taking a wide line though, had to cut back.
He has lost a little bit there. I think he might be a little bit further away than he was going into that corner.
You're right, he did lose time overall after catching a lot on the entry. I wonder if he just outbroke himself.
A spin.
Who's that? Jake Edwards. Jake Edwards spinning from 3rd place.
Alright, let's bring you a replay of that one. Looks like we were maybe just a little bit too early on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Just not getting it right there and costing yourself a lot. He is down now in... Where is he? I can't even see him on the timing screen. That's how low he's gone, and can't see him on the timing screens.
That was Jake Edwards. 13th, I believe, right now.
Yeah, I believe you are correct.
So this will be, I guess, an interesting game of catch-up for him then.
Yeah, he's definitely going to have more pace than the cars around him, you would imagine, having been in that lofty height of the podium position. So he's got 20 minutes to go, so it'll be interesting to see where he can recover to, but it's made his life a lot harder, hasn't he? Could have done without that mistake, but like we said, this is a track that generates mistakes. Look at the likes of Serrano, Bennett, Edwards, Nixon, Brunt, Horton, Orbistella, all these guys. You wouldn't rule out any of them from making mistakes just because this track is so difficult. There's some tracks where you know the top class drivers, they're not going to spin without something weird going on. This is not one of those tracks. It is such a challenger. Even the top of the top will make mistakes around here, because if you are not pushing it to the limit, you're losing far too much time. So that's Connor Nixon in the Shell-powered Ferrari, being followed by Matthew Brunt in the blue Porsche, being followed by Joshua Horton in the orange and green Porsche. They're a fair margin behind our leaders at the moment.
Yeah, so we definitely have Tao 3 seconds from Corey, then Connor Nixon, Connor Nixon nearly, it's about a second half, 1.2, 1.3-ish, back from Corey Bennett as well. So it's not an insurmountable gap, but in order to catch that back up, because they're sort of just falling outside of the toe now, they'll have to work together as a group, and I just don't see that happening. I think these guys just want to fight.
Oh yeah, they absolutely want to fight. I think they know that Tao Serrano is just another class around here. Second faster in qualifying. I think they know that realistically he's gone. Corey Bennett, he's also looking pretty strong around here. He hasn't managed to break away quite enough for him to be safe, but he's certainly not under immediate danger. I think the battle is going to be for that final podium position, currently being occupied by Connor Nixon in the Ferrari. He's got 3 Porsches behind him, all looking to take his spot. So there's confirmation of a stop-go penalty, which is one of the nastiest penalties that can be applied in motor racing for car number 60.
Yeah, that's definitely it. I didn't actually catch what it was for, though.
No, I'm not sure. Let's see if we can find some more details in our race control chat. Car 68, 30-second stop-go penalty, no other details provided.
Yeah, it's not even a drive-through, like a 30-second stop-go. That
generally indicates negligence on the part of the driver. That's caused another driver's race to be ruined. I can see car number 15 is in the pits, so wouldn't be surprised if that is related.
Yeah, perhaps taking someone else out at the same time.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, that's our much beloved Sean Doyle in car number 15.
Sorry, Mama Doyle, if you are watching today. First of all, hope you're feeling a lot better. We know you've been having some health issues recently, which we discussed on the last stream. Really sad that Sean Doyle's out of this race, but hopefully he can get a good result in race 2.
Now, I did say that I thought Oliver Patterson was going to be a mover, but we're down in 19th at the moment with Oliver, and his dad has jumped in on YouTube and has told us that he's racing on his father's rig this week, and he didn't have enough time for practice.
That can explain it. Of course, if you're racing on a different rig, it's just going to be set up differently. You're going to have a different strength in different feel on the steering wheel in terms of the strength of the force feedback being provided, the pressure you need for the brakes, and where that correlates to in terms of a braking pressure in the car is going to change, which makes it more difficult.
Something's happened with Tao. Tao did he lose the lead of the race?
No, he's still leading the race. He's lost some time though, hasn't he? Yeah, no, he's lost the lead of the race. Has he had a disconnect? What is happening here with our timings? I can see him on my track map. He's still around.
I'm seeing him glitching around. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe he had a bit of a disconnect with the server, because for a second there it was showing him tumbling down the field, but now he's back comfortably in 5.5. So apologies to the viewers. It looks like there might have been a small disconnect with the server there, but everything looks to be back on track now, as far as I can tell.
Yeah,
Tao's definitely still in the lead.
Yeah, definitely still in the lead with about 5.5 second gap, and that's consistent across the multiple places where I can see the gap between him and the other cars. So Tao Serrano definitely in the server, a bit of a false alarm there. He has got Corey Bennett, I think, a little bit closer than he was in a few laps ago. only being 5.5 seconds. I think that gap was out to over 7 seconds at one point. But Corey Bennett has well and truly broken free of third place and back. So you've got Tao Serrano out by himself in the lead. Corey Bennett now with a healthy gap to the car behind him. And then Connor Nixon leading a tight battle for the final spot on the podium.
Further down the field at Jamie Christensen, who is in a tidy little battle here. Now these guys are pretty close. Looks like a group of about 4 drivers here. We've got Jamie Christensen at the back, Curtis Bird, Aaron Obersteller, and then Fitzroy Beaumont at the front of this little battle for 6th place.
Yeah, not as much field spread as I feared there could be. There's a really healthy pack from Connor Nixon all the way down to what I believe is 9th place for Jamie Christensen. He's at the back of this pack that starts with the podium, final spot on the podium. Connor Nixon just going into bus stop chicane now. And you'll see that whole pack is now all through the chicane. So only maybe 5 seconds between the whole lot of them, which isn't a huge amount around here. We've seen differences in qualifying of a second lap, so with 12 minutes to go, don't rule out the likes of Jamie Christensen or Curtis Bird making a move forward, although out of the two, we've got to say at the moment, it's looking like Jamie Christensen is the most likely because he is wheeling in Curtis Bird as he struggles to keep up with that pack and is perhaps not getting the optimum amount of slipstream compared to Jamie Christensen. Tao Serrano just puts in the fastest lap of the race at 43.1, faster than just about everybody else did in qualifying, not matching his own qualifying pace, but just showing you that even a few tenths off his ultimate pace, he has more than enough to gap this field.
And it looks like, is that Courtney Bennett now behind Connor Nixon?
It is showing that on your timing. I'm looking for confirmation.
I'm seeing it right now on track. Yeah, Corey
right.
Bennett is behind Connor Nixon. We've missed an overtake for a podium place.
Yeah, we'll see if we can find that footage, although it is hard for us to find the footage once it's occurred and we didn't see it live on the broadcast. Just a limitation of our technology at the moment. We'll hope to improve that throughout this season and the next season. But I tell you what, look at the language of that Lamborghini. He is already shaping up to try and make a move back past Connor Nixon in the Ferrari. Tucked into that yellow line nice and tightly, staying right behind him. Don't think he was going to be able to make a move into... Oh, he's pulled it out to the inside. Nope. Just letting Connor Nixon know he's there. Seeing if he can bait Connor Nixon to make a mistake. Connor Nixon far too experienced to fall for that and start defending for share. Oh, look at the pace he's got through the chicane. The Lamborghini looking awesome through there. It's got a run on Connor Nixon. Connor Nixon's going to have the inside for corner 1, but Corey Bennett might be able to sweep all the way around the outside before then. No, Connor Nixon's got the advantage.
That Ferrari might just be a little bit too fast. He had it, but as soon as he pulled out from the toe, the Ferrari seemed to have the straight line speed and will be inside of the corner as well.
Leaving not much of a gap between the two of them, but enough that they weren't worrying about a contact. And that's Joshua Horton putting himself in between the two of them, going all the way around the outside of Corey Bennett. We saw it from Corey Bennett's cockpit, didn't know it was coming, and all of a sudden there's this orange Porsche in the way.
I wonder if that perhaps took Corey by surprise as much as it took us.
I can't imagine it did. Oh, I had no idea that was coming. So there you go, Joshua Horton making his play for the podium positions. 10 minutes to go, just over 2 minutes of this race.
And Paul Corey going from second to out of the podium.
Yeah, but he's got the time to get it back. Do hope that's not a sign of the Lamborghini running into some issues, maybe just not liking the lower fuel quite as much as the Porsche or the Ferrari. Hopefully it's just a circumstance of how the race has gone out for Corey Bennett's sake, otherwise he's going to struggle to get back to those positions. Certainly looking racy enough, but has he got the pace in that car? Oh well, the limitations of the Lamborghini are too much for Corey Bennett to overcome.
On a note, it does look like Oliver Patterson has made a bit of a move. He's up into 15th place. We're seeing now. And Brad Hayes is still down in 19th, so a few positions off his goal. Now, how far back is Brad from 15th?
He's about 8 seconds back from 15th. Maybe 10.
I'm seeing 7.3. That's 7.3. Can't really get a rule out between drivers, unfortunately. That's okay.
So 11 seconds, the gap between him and 15th place, judging by that prior graphic where it showed everybody's gap to the leaders. Which just means a little bit of massive hole to figure out that. So 11 seconds, 8 minutes to go, looking unlikely that Brad Hayes is going to reach his goal of 50th, but we'll keep our fingers crossed for him. I'll tell you what, that battle pack that I talked about before, from second place all the way down to Jake Edwards in 10th, really hasn't separated all that much. If you cut out Jake Edwards and we just go from Curtis Bird, he's 14 seconds off the leader. Joshua Horton's only, and it's literally just changed as I said that, he's about 19 seconds off the leader. Joshua Horton about 15. It's about 5 seconds between that whole gaggle of cars. All of them on this banked corner, all of them up to be on the straight. Almost nothing to choose between this pack. So there's definitely the opportunity for big movements inside that top 10. It's going to be hard for anyone outside of the top 10 to chase them down, though, such as the gap between Curtis Bird in 9th and Jake Edwards in 10th, and then from Jake Edwards down to Ryan Grubb in 11th.
But this is spicy. I feel like we need like a battle for second place that has almost the entire top 10 in it.
Yeah, that's the dream, isn't it? That is the dream. Could do with them all being like a little bit closer. Not too many moves going on at the moment. Maybe they'll turn on the heat as we get into the last couple of laps. And there is Joshua Horton alongside Connor Nixon, challenging him for second place. Connor Nixon defending Joshua Horton. Also not letting Corey Bennett pass. Corey Bennett looking dangerous coming out of this corner. Will he make a move into turn 2?
He's looking at it. Quick peek up on the inside, but decides to stay back.
Yeah, not really an overtaking opportunity there. Might have to wait for the bus stop chicane. But if Joshua Horton has anything to say about it, he'll be well past Connor Nixon by the time Corey Bennett gets another attack. Plus, Connor Nixon, very good defensive driver, not going to let him past without making him pay his dues.
Look at this. Look at it. We've had like 5 drivers in the same corner. This is tremendous battling. And look, I've got the battle up on screen at the moment. That's 8 drivers in a battle for second place. And at no point is there a gap between them that's larger than a 1/7 of a second. Than 7/10 of a second.
No, they're doing a fantastic job, and it shows you just how good Tao is driving, doesn't it? When all these high-class drivers, Connor Nixon, Joshua Horton, Corey Bennett, Matthew Brunt, Fitzroy Beaumont, drivers we know are quick, have all found the same limit around this track. They've all hit their limit in that mid 143s, high 143s for race pace, and Tao Serrano just a second quicker than them in qualifying, a second quicker than them in the race, finding a completely different limit to every other driver in this series at Daytona here tonight.
And these are all like 2, 3, and 4K rated drivers that are making up this top 10. I know Fitzroy's a 3.1. I know Tao is sitting around 5. Looks like we've got a move going on here.
So that was Joshua Horton trying to go around the outside of Connor Nixon. Connor Nixon getting the position back. Looks like Joshua Horton's got a slowdown, losing a heap of positions there. Really falling back down that pack. Might lose another one here. Yeah, does indeed lose another one. So he's down into 7th place after all is said and done. We'll have to see if we can find out what happened there. May have just cut the inside and got himself a slowdown.
Alright, let's jump on with Joshua Alton here and see if we can find out exactly what has happened and caused this slowdown.
Goes around the outside.
Oh, did he just get a little sideways? I think he actually just got a little sideways and lost some speed. Is that?
Yeah, I think that's accurate. And then just got surprised when the car dive bombed him into the second I call it turn 2. I think it's actually officially like turn 4. But the second wheel corner on the racetrack, and just had to yield the position to Matthew Brunt. Only 5 minutes to go now. Well, 4.5 minutes to go. So we're heading into the last 3 or so laps of the race.
But the
really
good news
tight
for Corey
between...
Bennett, that puts him back in the podium positions.
Yeah, really tight though between Connor Nixon and Corey Bennett. Look at this battle for second. Almost nothing to choose between them. Definitely couldn't fit a bicycle between the two cars at the moment. Corey Bennett almost pushing Connor Nixon as they approach the first corner. Trying to jostle for who's going to have the inside line into that long left-hander. Quite a bit of movement with Connor Nixon going deep at the exit. I wonder if that's cost him on exit speed. Looked like he had to whack on a bit more lock to get around, but Corey Bennett not able to use that speed to get past.
I'm loving the way that Connor Nixon is driving here. Like, Corey made it like a visual move to the inside of the corner, but Corey stayed to the left, knowing that Corey was too far back to be able to make that move. And that's one of the mistakes that you can get caught up with. It's like defending clean air, you know, moving to the inside line to try and defend an attack that is just never coming can just senselessly cost you times in battles like this.
And I've just heard reports from Race Control that Aaron Orbestella and Joshua Horton are under investigation for a incident on the last lap. So definitely something going on after we cut away, after Horton lost those initial positions. Some sort of contact. Be interested to see what Race Control make of that. And just back to your point, you're absolutely right. Connor Nixon doing a really good job not defending when he needs to, but also not defending fresh air and just costing himself lap time. He's not going to defend into here. He knows it's going to be too brave to make a move into here. Knows his best bet is actually just to optimise his exit and make sure that Corey Bennett can't get a better run out of there. Both drivers really playing dare with the outside of that exiting corner, daring themselves to get as close as they can to getting a slowdown without actually getting one that's the skill that you need around here and around there, and the precision if you want to defend. Just look at that slipstream, look what it's doing for Corey Bennett. That is a perfect example of what the slipstream does. Just drives right up to the back of Connor Nixon. Connor Nixon taking his claim early to the inside. Corey Bennett looking to go all the way around the outside. He's got the lead for now. Can he hold on to it? No, but he's going to have the wider entry. Sometimes that can mean you get a better exit speed, but not here. And Connor Nixon holds on to the position. Only 2 minutes to go.
I'll tell you what, this is hard for Corey because the inside line is so good coming into turn 1, and we can see from the posturing for Connor is that he's just planting his car on the left. You know, Corey would love Connor to make a move to the right and give up the inside, but we're just seeing as you're coming down the straight, Connor, he just plants the car on the left and says to Corey, cool, if you want to do this, you're going to have to go around the outside. That's where you're going to have to get this done. Connor is just... Yeah. I'm loving his driving right now. It's absolutely fantastic. Such mature driving.
It is really mature driving. And that's what we come to expect from Connor Nixon. Having watched him race for a little while now, he's a very, very, very professional in the way that he races, is the description I would use. He's not as bombastic as some of the other drivers I've seen, but he is very, very good at just about every facet of driving a race car in this iRacing server.
Now, this is pretty much it for Corey. He's got this lap to get this done. He's a little bit far back at the moment, but this is his last lap to get that second place back.
Yeah, this is it. Gotta do it now, or it's never going to happen. Really, really difficult to make an overtake stick around here. We've seen that throughout today, just with the amount of times we've seen cars go side by side, and the car that was originally leading come out on top still. So Corey Bennett's got his work to do, as has Connor Nixon, if they want to finish in second place. Certainly Connor Nixon with the upper hand at the moment, but Corey Bennett isn't going to let this go without a red hot go.
Look at this battle that's going on behind as well. Not necessarily for fourth, but look at this mob of cars with Josh Houghton at the lead. Yeah,
and that's teammate on teammate there as well. Josh Horton and Fitzroy Beaumont, both running the same livery, so there'll be a little bit of a rivalry between them two, with Matthew Brunt and Curtis Bird behind them looking to get involved, looking like Curtis Bird more likely to get past Matthew Brunt at the moment than Matthew Brunt is to get Jamie Christensen. Let's have a look what happens here. Joshua Horton, Jamie Christensen, apologies. The two cars are in the same livery, plus Fitzroy Beaumont is just a little bit ahead of them in the green Porsche.
Oh, we're jumping back on with Corey. This is close. He's looking to make this move happen towards the end of this race.
They go side by side. There's no more corners. This is it. If he can get a better run around here, he will get second place. Connor Nixon will be relegated to third. There's side by side, bit of side drive coming into it. Connor Nixon's got the shorter run to the line. Who's got higher speed though? It's Connor Nixon at the moment. In the lead. That inside line looking like it's going to pay dividends. Corey Bennett.
Oh, he's just a little bit too far behind.
Just too far behind.
That was close. I think maybe Corey's mistake there was pulling out of that draft just a little bit too early.
Really, really tight though, wasn't it? Couldn't have got any closer to second
That's
place.
basically a photo finish, right?
That's about as close as you get. So there you go. Tal Serrano. Apologise, we missed him crossing the line, but taking an absolutely dominant victory, well over 10 seconds, almost 20 in the end. Connor Nixon coming home in second place. We've then got Corey Bennett in third place, Fitzroy Beaumont in fourth, Joshua Horton in fifth, Jamie Christensen in sixth, Matthew Brunt in seventh, Curtis Bird in eighth, Jake Edwards in ninth, and Aaron Obersteller taking the last spot in the top 10. Ash Davis in 11th.
Despite the fact that it says Corey Bennett on screen right now, this is definitely Tal doing some victory donuts.
Yes, it definitely is. Before they get stuck into our second race of the night, another 25-minute race for you coming up once all the drivers had a little bit of a break and got back on track. So the drivers will actually have a warm-up in between the two races of 2 or 3 minutes.
And we'll be back in just a couple minutes with heat number 2.
Welcome back, everybody. After our short break in between our 2 races here at Daytona tonight, race 1 taken at a canter by Tal Serrano with a brilliant battle between Corey Bennett and Colin Nixon for second place. The cars now lining back up on the grid for the second 25-minute race of the night.
And this is a reverse top 10 grid, which is one of my favorite parts about this race, because it highlights not just your ability to get the fastest lap in qualifying and then drop everybody and disappear off into the sunset, but it forces you to know how to battle as well.
It certainly does force you to know how to battle, and what it does is it gives those drivers that perhaps don't quite have the ultimate pace but are close enough to be a right hassle for the likes of Serrano, Nixon and Bennett a chance to nick a podium or a victory if they could just defend for their lives. Safety car now leading them away before Aaron Orbistella takes control of the field. Jake Edwards will line up alongside him. They'll line up 2 abreast all the way downfield, and then Aaron Orbistella will decide when we go racing again. This is also a good time to see the character of those drivers in the top 10. How hard do they try and defend potentially faster cars behind them versus just letting the real fast guys go and trying to figure out who they are racing and then defending them to try and optimize that overall race time. It's a really good way of spotting who is a really cerebral racer and who races on pure instinct.
I'm in the sort of category where I don't like to race those that I know that I can't beat, because they're not really my opponent. They're going to get past me eventually, and while that's happening, I'm going to be losing time to the people who really are my competitors.
Yeah. There you go. Aaron Orbistella puts his foot down. Jake Edwards coming under immediate pressure in second place. Curtis Bird as well there, looking to pressure Jake Edwards. Let's have a look how they get through the first corner. So many different lines are here. We don't really know who's got the upper hand. Certainly the inside is slightly better, but you can make it work around the outside. We've already seen that in race 1. Cars going 3 wide at places through the first corner. Looks like Curtis Bird going to exit in second place. Jake Edwards in second. Curtis Bird in third. No, Curtis Bird's definitely down to 4th place. My timings are lying to me right now. Aaron Orbistella getting a really clean getaway. Look at the gap he's got at the front of the field already. Believe that is Jake Edwards in second, Curtis Bird in third place, and then Matthew Brunt in 4th.
That is correct, as we recover our timing tower. Alright, there it is. We've got our timing tower back now, so we can see. We've got Aaron Orbistella, Jake Edwards, Curtis Bird, Matthew Brunt, Joshua Houghton, Jamie Christensen, Fitzroy Beaumont, Tal Serrano, Corey Bennett, Ryan Grubb, David Milne, Steve Kakosch, Tom Brown, Dale Lubb, David Atkinson, Matthew, Gerard, Orlando Black, Dennis Hancock, Oliver Patterson, Brad Hayes, Connor Nixon, Ash Davis. In that order.
So there you go. That's our current standings. Aaron Orbistella doing everything he needs to do to get a victory here in race 2. Really strong start. Got Jake Edwards about half a second behind him. Then it's Curtis Bird in third place in that brightly coloured Porsche that you can see there. Then you got the light blue Porsche of Matthew Brunt in 8th. And then we got a battle here. This is Toast Serrano we're on board with in 8th place. Looking to move up. Already made up 2 positions. That's going to be a 3rd. And now he's got Fitzroy Beaumont in the green Porsche ahead of him. That's next. Oh, taking a really defensive line there. You can see Tao almost having to check himself up to make sure it doesn't hit him. Not able to take his natural speed through there. And that's Joshua Horton in the orange Porsche about to become Serrano's next victim after he got a bad first corner. Got out there slow. We saw him do that towards the end of the first race, and it's cost him again. Slipping all the way down to 8th place now as his teammate Jamie Christensen gets ahead of him.
We've got Corey Bennett just behind as well. 3rd in our last race, now 9th. Could be looking to make some moves as well. I love this top 10 because I really feel like anyone could take this out. Like, we saw how tight it was between all those drivers. Obviously, Nixon and Bennett got away a little bit from the pack towards the end. Oh, that's Tao! That's Tao that's just spun out up ahead.
We'll have to get replay, see what happened there. He gets himself back on track, but that's going to drop him down outside the top 10. 15th, 16th place currently. Let's have a look how he came unstuck at turn 4. The real turn 4. So here he is battling. Just goes for the inside there.
Oh,
Gets on the front. I think he's just done it by himself.
Just too tight of a line.
Trying to get on the throttle whilst also taking a tighter line for that. There's a lot less grip on the inside, and I wonder if that's caught him out. As soon as he's got away from that well-worn path where the rubber is, and he's gone to the dirty part of the track, just not having the grip he expected, and that's caused him to try and apply too much throttle and send the car into a spin. It's going to be really hard to win from here, but he's got fantastic pace. We know he's got a second lap on the rest of the field. A second lap's going to be enough for him to effect overtakes quite easily. And if he can make sure he doesn't get held up, we're going to have a hell of a battle on our hands for him to try and get back up to podium positions. And he's going to be helped if the likes of Orba, Stella, Edwards, Bird, who don't quite have the pace of the likes of Bennett, Nixon, stay at the front. Con Nixon not having a good first lap, but he's all the way down in 20th, so he's also come unstuck at some point in the opening stages of this race.
Now, onto Tao Serrano. I know we're just talking about him, but just bring it back for a second. So we know he's got about a lap of pace, and I'm currently seeing that he's about 10 seconds down. There does look to be enough race time in hand for Tao to get back into the lead, presuming that it doesn't take him too much time to move back up through the field. It's not over for him, though this does somewhat mirror what happened to him in the second heat of last fortnight's GT3 race as well.
Yeah, it certainly does. And just to cover off a storyline from earlier, Sean Doyle looks like he's not taking part in this race. Got him a lap down. So no Sean Doyle tonight. Jake Edwards currently in the lead of this race, so he's got past Aaron Orbistella for the lead and is now pulling away. Already built that lap gap up to half a second. Orbistella coming under pressure from Bird and Brunt behind him, and then a bit of a gap to Fitzroy Beaumont in 5th place. So this is Aaron Orbistella in that beautiful petroleum coloured car. That's what I would call that. It's kind of the colour when you see a bit of oil on the pavement and it catches the sun just right. Absolutely beautiful livery. Not able to get that livery past the current leader, Jake Edwards, though. Jamie Christensen in 6th place, putting in the fastest lap of the race, and he's on the back of this pack, currently putting pressure on Fitzroy Beaumont. So this is the view behind Aaron Orbistella. Just a queue of cars, all looking to be the next to gain a position to perhaps get in front of this camera. That's Curtis Bird first in your screen after Orbistella. Then the blue car is Brunt, the green car is Beaumont, and the car behind that is Jamie Christensen, currently the fastest man on track, although it'll be interesting to see if that fastest lap survives Tal Serrano's next lap.
Now, this is intense. We've got 6 drivers in the battle for this first position now. This is what I love about our top 10 drivers, is just how close to the racing this is. These guys are so evenly matched. I'm nothing short of impressed by the quality of the drivers that we've got, and the standards that they seem to hold themselves to as well. Like, we have some real tidy driving and some excellent racecraft between these drivers.
Yeah, we really do. We've also got some big movers and shakers in the opening stages of this race. Ryan Grubb qualified in 12th. He's up to 8th spot currently, so that's a decent move. Steve Kush qualified 14th up to 10th. David Milne qualified 13th up to 9th. They're all up 4 places. Tom Brown's up 5 places. Matthew Gerard's up 8 places, and a few big losers as well. Corey Bennett's down to 15th. Connor Nixon starting in 8th. He's down to 20th position. And of course, we also know that Tal Serrano, one of the big losers, after starting in 10th place, he actually fell down all the way down to like 16th, 17th spot. He's back into 10th place already, and only 7 seconds behind the leader. Oh, look at that. That's a move. That's a move from Matthew Brunt losing in position to Fitzroy Beaumont, I believe. Oh, who's that off? That's
Oh, we've got a crash.
that's Jake Edwards. He's off. He's taken out Jake Edwards. He's taken out Matthew Brunt. And is that Horton he's taken out?
That's Christensen, Brunt.
Christensen.
Yeah, Christensen, Brunt, and...
So Christensen, Brunt, and Jake were the 3 cars involved in that. So let's have a look at how that all unfolded. It looked like Jake just getting a bit deep onto the grass. And we've got a safety car. We've got a safety car, so we're bringing this replay. While a safety car comes out.
I'm not quite sure what put him under the grass to begin with. Was it just dropping a wheel, maybe?
Looked like it, didn't it? So that was Jake Edwards, the instigator for all that, and he didn't move from there, so he was stuck on track. Hence why he got a safety car so that he could safely tow, get out of the way, and that's going to bunch this pack right up. That's going to work lovely for Tal Serrano in 10th place. That's going to remove all the field spread that he's been a victim of that has put him almost 10 seconds behind the leader, and instead he's going to have a direct, only 4 rows of cars between him and Aaron Obersteller.
So this is great news if you're Tal right now. This is what you wanted, right? Like, he had a good chance on pace to get back into the lead of the race, but this is really just going to play into his hands perfectly. And we have Sean Doyle out on track at the moment, who is our safety car for today.
There you go. That solves the mystery of why Sean Doyle was at the bottom of the standings in the pit lane. He was the safety car all along. Isn't it wonderful when there's a happy story behind it all?
I wonder if Mama Doyle is in chat to watch him lead another lap.
To watch him do an excellent job as the safety car. So let's just recap that order behind them. So we've got Aaron Obersteller will lead them all away. Curtis Bird will line up alongside him. Second row will be Fitzroy Beaumont and Joshua Horton. Third row will be Grubb and Milne. Fourth row will be Serrano and Brown. That'll be a row to watch. Then we've got Kikochki and Gerard in 9th and 10th. Corey Bennett will be on the 6th row in 11th place with Dale Loeb ahead of him. So Corey Bennett, a beneficiary from that scuffle to put him on the fringes of the top 10, reset for him. Then we've got Lube, Orlando Black, Hancock, Oliver Patterson, and Jamie Christensen in 16th. So despite being caught up in that instant, not losing a whole heap of positions, though we don't know if that car's potentially got a little bit of damage that'll hinder him on the straights. And then Connor Nixon, who had a rough start to the race, fell all the way down to 20th, now in 17th, and got a chance with the pack bunched up to make some big moves in quick succession. So look for him to be aggressive on the restart. Brad Hayes is currently in 19th position, and he's got 4 positions to make up if he wants to get to his goal of 15th position.
Now, do we have the word on how many laps on the safety car we're to expect? Is our pace car going to be going in this lap, perhaps?
I haven't heard anything about the pace car coming in on this lap, so we'll have to wait and see on that one.
It looks to me, just looking at the gap that we've got, that our field is bunched back up now. So I would almost expect the safety car to be going in.
Yeah, I suspect they'll go around one more time. I suspect we would have heard from race control if the safety car was going to pull it in on list lap. They are rounding that final turn. So I think they'll go around once more and then we'll get going next lap. I know it's pulling away.
Alright, so Sean is off. So we are back in the hands of Aaron Obersteller. Now, he's probably going to leave this nice and late to start, right? I would expect him to pretty much wait until we get across the start-finish line. Does that sound right to you? Because that's a big tow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Doesn't want that tow. And apologies, I got the restart procedure wrong. They'll, of course, restart as single file.
It's not really looking single file at the moment. And he's off? Is that... Aaron's off? Yes, we're off.
Yeah, I do wonder if it's going to get a little bit of trouble for that. It's definitely starting alongside Curtis Bird. I'll have to reread the rules on the restart, but they definitely weren't a deliberately double file. They seem to be single file there, although I'm not sure how strict that is, whether you're allowed to have any other car alongside the car in front. Already we've devolved into 2 battle packs of front 6, and then the rest of the field.
That's
importantly,
a lot
Serrano
of
at the
move
back
happening
of
at
that
the back
front
of the
6.
field. But everyone getting
Lots of
through
banging.
so far.
So we've got Dale Loeb trying to defend on the inside. He's going to get overtaken around the outside. That's Connor Nixon on his inside now. Can Connor Nixon make that work and turn that dominant position into an overtake?
Oh, he's hanging in
if
there.
Dale Loeb can hang it on, he'll have the inside for the next corner.
He's not giving it up for free. He's got to make him work for it.
Yeah, Connor Nixon too wide out there, not going to have the grip out there that he needs. So Dale Loeb's going to hold on for that for now. There's a slow car about 3 ahead of them. So I think that's perhaps Tom Brown going a little bit slowly.
Is that a
Let's see
slowdown?
who starts to put down the order. Could very well be. Could have cut that corner on the inside. So yeah, that's Tom Brown now falling behind Connor Nixon. So this battle pack here. So you got a battle pack for the front 6. At the bottom of that is Kokochki. No, Tao Serrano, apologies. Kokochki's at the head of the second battle pack.
That car by Jamie Christensen, does he have a penalty? He's going into the pits.
You might have damage or could have a penalty. Haven't seen anything from race control.
Nothing yet,
So
but
not
we
a
do
race
tend to
control.
hear about it after the drivers do.
This is true. Haven't heard anything in my ear from race control either. This is Ryan Grubb. He's currently in 4th place trying to defend for Tao Serrano. That's a difficult job. Just about the most difficult job on the circuit right now.
I would not
right
want
now.
to be him,
He's
that's
defending
for
from Tao
sure.
Serrano.
Oh, sends it up on the inside. And I don't even think he's putting up a battle there. That looked to me like he was just happy to give that away. And maybe have Tao out of his mirrors.
Yeah, there will be drivers that love that feeling of having a car behind them, pushing them along. It can almost feel like they're getting extra pace from the tension. Other drivers, they'll start to make mistakes, they'll get clammy, they'll start to tighten up. They just won't want that pressure if they know that trying to keep the car behind them is unlikely for another 10 minutes. They'll just let them go, release that pressure valve, and then focus on their own job. Once again, Serrano now already back into the podium spots in 3rd place. He's 4 seconds away from the lead, and that gap is coming down at a rapid pace. Look for him to make a move on Joshua Horton in the next lap or 2, and then really get after Aaron Orbistella, who has done a phenomenal job leading this race.
So let's just have a look at this gap. It's a half a second now as we're coming along to the back side of this track, moving up towards it. Where do you think he's going to make the move? T1 or Tier 2?
I don't think it's quite going to be close enough at turn 1 unless he carries a lot more speed than Joshua Horton ahead of him. I fancy it at the bus stop chicane. I think he'll run him up right close at what I keep calling turn 4, which I know isn't actually turn 4, but it's the 4th proper turn on the circuit. And I think he'll then make a move into chicane if he hasn't gotten before then. Just want to call out Corey Bennett after that tough start to the race, is now up in 5th spot, making the most of that restart to gain some much needed positions, which will translate into much needed points at the end of this race. He's not going around the outside there as Serrano. Surely not.
He's trying. Josh is not giving this one up, is he? It looks like he wants the battle. He's taking the defensive position. Oh, Tao sends it in the dummy, parks it on the apex as they go towards the straight. That's a great move by him. And it looks like Josh gave him a friendly little flash there as they came back onto the banks.
I think there might have been a tiny bit of contact as he went for the up and under there. There couldn't have been any more than a piece of rice paper between his front bumper and Joshua Horton's rear bumper. So close was that cutback. Definitely would have caught Horton by surprise, and perhaps the flash might have been him feeling a little bit aggrieved at that display of aggression from Serrano, but it was clean in the end. It was firm, but it was fair, and it was beautiful.
Let's go back and watch that one again. Oh, looks like we just missed that. So looks like they may have been a little contact, but I think we've just missed it.
Yeah, so we'll return to live pictures for you now so that we can see Tao Serrano as he gets after Aaron Orbistella. Still got quite a bit of time to find. Big battle going on behind them, though. Really tight. Behind.
Are you talking about the battle between Joshua Alton and Ryan Grubb?
Yeah, and Tao obviously at the lead of that battle. Actually, it's my timing screen's lying to me again. Wonderful.
Josh is really...
Oh, there's been a bit of... David Loeb, I think Dale Loeb's just come unstuck. He's just started falling down the timing screens. There you go. Off the track. We'll have to see if he was helped. So this is corner 1. Gets through there, okay. He's got a car on his inside.
Who's that on the left there? Is that Aaron?
I don't think it's not Aaron. Aaron's in the lead.
Aaron's in the lead. Oh, I think we might be expecting a little bit of a penalty there.
Yeah, definite contact helping Dale Loeb around there. It wasn't a huge mistake from either driver, just a case of taking different speed, slightly different lines through that corner and meeting in the middle. I will be interested to see what race control make of that, but you're certainly right. The car at fault is clear. It's just whether race control deemed that penalty worthy. And there you go, car 169 getting a drive-through penalty.
That's Matthew Gerard. Yeah, that was the car that we saw going through at the start of the race. Remember they were falling back along, and then they went for that drive-through, and we were trying to work out what that was. I believe that's who that was.
Ah, right, okay. Could very well be correct. So this is Tao Serrano. He's made up that gap to Aaron Orbistella. We're now watching live pictures of the battle for the lead of this race. Only 5 minutes to go. Surely Aaron Orbistella is going to do everything he can to take a victory here tonight and hold Tao Serrano off behind him, even though it may feel like a losing battle.
Now, Aaron is quick, but I can't help but think that maybe he's a little outmatched here. But I love the fact that he's not just giving this up. He's here to race. That's what he's done today. He's jumped into his cockpit and he's decided that he's going to race. And I love this fighting. He's taken the inside line, but I feel like maybe Tao's just going to send it to him into T1. Like, he's close. You've got 0.3 of a second, and he's got the toe. Though that BMW we know is quick on the straights.
Yeah, next corner will be the bust. I'm looking for Tao Serrano to really make up the rest of this gap through there, carry that closeness, use the slipstream to try and get alongside into turn 1 and affect the overtake. Oberstella's best lap, almost a second slower than Serrano's at this point. Although that looked wide for Serrano, might get a slowdown. Definitely got onto the grass on the outside there. We'll have to wait and see where he got away with it. Seems to have got away with it so far. Yeah, not slowing down if he has got one. So I think he's just about got away with that, which is very, very lucky, because I know you can definitely get slowed down there. Ryan Grubb falling down now. One of his had an incident. Was in ahead of Corey Bennett, now is behind.
Now we have just... Oh, never mind. Tao looking to go around the outside of turn 1. That is a brave move. And look who's right behind him as well.
Joshua Horton with the pace. Went with Serrano as he chased down Oberstella. And I don't know if he just managed to catch up because Serrano has been held up by a lap now by Oberstella, or if he was with him the whole time. But this is now a freeway battle for the race victory with only 2 laps to go. 1 minute 45 a lap. 3 minutes race time still remaining.
Now, this is
anybody's
great.
game.
This is great if you're Aaron. This is what you want. You need like a rear gunner. That means that Tao just can't do whatever he wants, because he's also under threat. You know, if he wants to take an outside line, then he risks Joshua just sending it up the inside on him into a turn. This is great for Aaron. You know, you would think that having another driver in a battle for the lead of the race would put you under more stress, but I promise you, Aaron is like, yes. He's got his hands together. He's clapped his hands together. He's like, thank you, Joshua. This is exactly what I need, and it takes off just a little bit more pressure. And we have also received word that car number 69 has received a drive-through penalty, and I believe that'll be for that little tap that we saw coming through. Was it turn 4?
Yes, it was. Yes, coming through turn 4, we saw the replays of that. And you're absolutely right. This is the best scenario possible for Obistella, other than the fact that he's got anyone behind him at all. If you're going to have one car behind you, you want two. Because if Horton makes a move on Serrano at any point, then Serrano's got two cars to overtake. And he'll back himself to keep Horton behind him. Serrano going for the outside again. Now we're going to see that immediately. Horton trying to dive up the inside of Serrano. Gets alongside. A little bit of a low tap there.
They're getting so racy, these two.
They're potentially going to cost themselves a victory if they start racing too much. Serrano just holds on. But what that's done is that look at how far back he is from Obistella. Yes, it's not a huge gap, but it's enough that he's not going to be thinking about making a move into the next corner, and we reset to where we were last lap. And of the last 2 laps, Obistella's always come out in the lead. Serrano needs to be able to do something different, but Horton just hassling him enough. He can't, like you said, do anything too risky, else he's going to invite an attack from behind. Obistella now having to defend the inside. Are we going to see Serrano do the switchback again? No, not this time. But gets a really good run out of there.
Oh, that is a
Obistella
great
parks
run.
it on the apex.
Aaron's going to be so slow. He's going to be sitting duck as we come onto the backside of these banks. It looked like he got really slow out of that corner, but maybe I was wrong. I'm not seeing it. Tao is still sitting at about the same gap at coming towards the end of it as he was at the start. And it looked like he got like a really great run. Is the BMW just that quick on the straights?
I think the BMW is quick on the straights, but I think what you saw actually was Serrano did get slowed up by Aaron Obistella. So although he adjusted pretty well and it looked like he got a decent run, I don't think he was carrying any more pace than Obistella was on the tighter line, because I think he did actually get held up, and that check and just having to adjust his line was enough for him to lose any advantage he might have had. And Aaron Obistella here saying, no, this inside is mine. You want to get me, you're going to go around the outside again, because I've seen you do that twice and it's not worked either time. So Obistella's going to hug that yellow line and compromise his own line just to make sure that Serrano doesn't get the inside here. And look at hugging that inside line. Really good adjustment to his line. Obistella, beautiful defense there. And Corey Bennett just putting fastest lap of the race in 4th place.
Yeah, he's also moved up into 4th as well.
And he's also right in the tail of Joshua Horton. I think if we zoom out a little,
we can see it in the background here. He's joined this battle for first.
4-car race for first. If these first two get into a collision, Horton or Bennett could be the victor of this race. We're on the final lap. Who's it going to be? Will it be Obistella? Will it be Serrano? Will it be Horton? Will it be Bennett? Wait and see in about a minute's time. Serrano getting a really good run out of the corner, having to dart to the other side of the track to avoid hitting the back of Obistella. Now brakes early, going to try and get the up and under, but Serrano doing a good job out of that corner, holding enough speed. He's going to have to defend into the bush stop though, because I think Serrano did have a little bit more speed that time. He's going to be in the slipstream more so than on the last lap. Will it be enough to set him up for a move into the bus stop? It'd be brave if he goes for it.
So 2.38 was quite there. That Tao was behind coming onto the banking, and 2.32 is what it is. So that BMW looks really quick down the straights, because I feel like the toe should be a bit stronger than that.
Look at the 4 of them, line astern, coming round the final corner. Obistella in the lead, Serrano in 2nd, Horton in the 3rd. Who's going to win? Horton's going to get a massive double slipstream here. Serrano in the slipstream of Obistella.
No.
Horton goes wide. Obistella's
going
to cross the line in a few moments. Oh no, Serrano's dived into the pit lane.
Sorry?
Obistella takes the victory. Serrano in 2nd, Horton 3rd, Corey Bennett in 4th. So after all that, it was as you were coming into the final lap.
What a drive by Aaron! What a drive! You know what? I was doubting him. I was sitting here speaking into this microphone, and I was doubting Aaron's ability to hold back Tao. I just have to eat my words on this one. I'm nothing short of impressed.
Yeah, brilliant race from Obistella. Decided he would fight it. He was going to go for the win and reaping a well-deserved victory in the reverse good race. Started on pole, converted it into the race victory, withstood the pressure of multiple fast cars behind him. Bennett, Serrano, and Horton all mounting an attack, but in the end, none of them could topple Obistella.
Let's bring up our results for this race. Look, we've got victory donuts from Aaron here. Gotta love that.
Well deserved. Enjoy your glazed donuts, my friend. Definitely much more deserved than when you just buy some when you go to the petrol station. If you've got bad habits like me. Now, brilliant race. Definitely my drive of the round. And we're just waiting now for some of our lead drivers to join the waiting room so we can pull them into the broadcast room and have a quick chat with them before we round out the broadcast. And there you go, our victor for tonight, Aaron Orbisella, is joining us now.
I would also just like to give a shout out to Brad Hayes, who finished 12th.
Oh, smashed it.
12th.
Well done, Brad.
So, I don't know if you can hear this, Brad, but well done, mate. Fantastic drive to bring that in on 12th.
Oh, good we didn't see that as he crossed the line. We completely lost track of Hayes because we couldn't take our eyes off the battle at the front of the race between Orbisella and Serrano, who have both now joined us in the commentary box. How's the blood pressure, Orbisella?
Hello, guys. I was on mute. Hello.
You were on mute. We've got you now.
Who's watching? Who's watching? Tell me who's watching right now.
Everybody.
Yeah! What a race win, boys and girls! Okay,
all right, Aaron. Tell us, how are you feeling the last 5 minutes of that race with Tao breathing down your neck?
Well, look, I reported him to race control for having hyperspeed fitted to his vehicle. But other than that, look, this track is really easy to put your car in the right spots. He knows what I was doing. I was like a second and a half slower than him, so thank you for the race win, Tao.
Tao, comments?
Oh, sorry, I didn't even realize I got dragged in here. What have I missed? Apologies.
We're just talking about the race. How did you feel behind Aaron in the last 5 minutes of that race?
I know, I'll answer that for him. He felt slow.
That's right. Having a bit of fun. Wasn't going to lob anyone off the track.
So, you tried to move around the outside multiple times. At any point, did you think that was going to work? Or
Absolutely 0 times.
Absolutely 0 times, just trying to bait Oberstella into making a mistake.
Yeah, I just thought maybe, a little snap of oversteer and go down the inside, but he was pretty adamant on blocking the inside, and I wasn't going to punt him off, so I thought it was better to just have a P2.
And I did notice as well that Joshua Alton joining that fight towards the last couple of minutes there, I felt like that took a lot of pressure off Aaron, because suddenly Tao also had to worry about, if you try and go for a move too far around the outside, that potentially Joshua might just slip in underneath you in one of these corners.
Yeah, I was hoping Josh might bump draft around the outside with me, but I think he was too focused on having a crack, which is fair enough. I got 17x in the end anyway because I was taking such strange lines, but that's alright, doesn't matter. Had fun.
Was that 17? Was that one of those X's? I noticed you took a really super wide line going into turn 1. Is that part of it?
Yeah, I think I got one every single time.
Aha.
What was with the dive into the pits at the end?
I had 17x, so there was no point I had to do a drive-through, so I thought I'd just get out of the way and let them race to the line.
All right.
So
will that come into effect in the championship standings?
I'd imagine I would have finished last in the feature race. I guess, just based on the fact I would have had I don't know what a drive-through would be. What, a minute probably. So
Teo, just letting you know, if you finished last, I actually finished first. Right at the front, it was it felt good. And my leg is still shaking thanks to Teo putting the Bunsen burner on my rear end.
Yeah, it looks like that's been applied now. Looks like you finished in 16th according to that timing board. I think that might be correct because originally it had you in second, but that's changed now to be 16th. So I think that might have been applied once all the drivers crossed the finish line.
Well, that's not last. That's ahead of Beaumont.
Big. That's all that matters.
All right, Aaron. We've got Corey and Josh waiting to jump in as well. So do you have any final words for us?
Yeah, I just want to thank my skill level. obviously, you've seen what I can do on the track with minimal practice, so that was tough. And I've got to thank a big shout out. I think he's in the chat right now. Ben Knopfling, mate. I felt you there the whole time. Thank you for pushing me on. PMU brakes. If you need brakes, go to the PMU website, or you can go onto the Racer Industries website if you need some brakes for your boy racer cars. Thanks to all the boys that put this on, all the sponsors. You know who they are. Yeah, the win, boys!
Thanks very much, gentlemen. Appreciate your time.
All right, so we'll bring in Joshua Horton and Corey Bennett into the commentary box now.
Hello. How
Gentlemen,
evening, gents.
gentlemen. Corey Bennett. Third. You got third on balance at the end of this with a cheeky little last minute drive-through penalty for Tao.
Yeah, I was surprised because I saw Teo dive. I was like, hang on, is he doing like some 7K strat where he's just going to go through the pit lane and come first? But I was like, no, I can't because he'll have to do like pit lane speed. And then I saw the results and he dropped down to 16th. I was like, oh, that's pretty rough because he's a machine. So.
You know, I thought that myself as well. I'm like, oh, maybe the line for the pit is closer than the straight, and this is some next level strategy. But I thought, no, that doesn't seem like something that he would do. So
no, he's very clean, very fair. So it was just it took me just by surprise because we were talking in the radio and I didn't realize he had a slowdown or a black flag or whatever. So
apparently he picked up a single X. On the entry into turn one. No, turn one.
Oh,
on every
and put him over the
single
limit.
lap. Every single lap, he said, and 1x going into turn one.
Oh, and then if you had one car contact.
He was taking this crazy wide line. And I think he might have picked up an X earlier on. Josh, do you want to tell me about that one? I think you were involved.
X earlier on. Which lap was this? I had a few incidents with Teo, I think.
It was towards the end, coming onto... It was onto the back banking section, I believe. He sent one up on the inside and sort of parked it on the apex.
Yeah. So, Teo's a nuts driver, so when you're battling him, you got to be on the limit, and sometimes you just brake a little bit later than you should, and that's what I did. I braked a little bit later, and then I carried a little bit too much speed in the corner and just gave him a little touch, which might have actually helped me later in the race, give me +1 on the position, but yeah, it's unfortunate.
Are you saying that's a so he's playing checkers and you're playing chess? You gave him that little 1x that moved you up towards the end, making sure he got that drive through?
Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do with a driver like Teo. He knows what he's doing. He knows his strengths. He'll get you if you're caught napping.
I'm actually with you there. If he decides to take some 1x's on turn one to gain a little bit more speed, the risk is that you get involved in some sort of incident and that puts you over the limit. That's just a risk that you take when you're driving. You take a cheeky 1x one here and there, a little off track to gain some time, and then suddenly you're getting a drive-through penalty on the very last corner of the very last lap.
I mean, to be fair, I'm with you about that. There's a lot of corner cuts that you can take there, and you can just catch the 1x's because we don't do enough laps that. You can get 1x every lap and almost still get away with it as long as you don't get into too many accidents. And at the bus stop, I think I was taking a 1x on the way in sometimes, and then a 1x on the way out. Other times, just trying to make sure I get that straight line speed to keep up with Teo.
And so to you, what is that 1x through the bus stop worth, just in terms of time?
I mean, depending on if you're in slipstream or not. If you're not in slipstream, could be worth anywhere from half a tenth to a tenth. But when you're in slipstream and you're trying to get as close as possible, it could be anywhere from 1 to 3 tenths, depending on who you're with.
I'll add on to that, Mitch. It's also the way that the car feels. So sometimes you might have misjudged your braking or your entry into the first left-hander, and you have to take that little bit on the end, as Josh was saying. You have to take that little bit on the right hand on the second corner, just to make sure that the car gets to the right point to then hook it back up. Because the last thing you want to do is run wide at the bus stop, either going in or coming out, because you're either going to be on grass or you're going to be in wall pretty quickly. So it's definitely, I think, not just a speed thing, but like definitely a confidence thing, depending on how the car feels. And like the cars early on with sort of a little less grip, they tend to sort of push on a little bit more. So you'll find that you might pick up a few more X's early in the race, and then as the tires sort of progress, they then sort of grip up, and then you're able to have more confidence through the bus stop.
Yeah, the fuel load plays a massive part in that as well. Because like you were saying at the start of the race, you're picking up those 1Xs trying to make up the difference for what you're losing in fuel, and the car, because it has a lot more weight in the fuel tank, which is usually at the rear, it tends to want to slide on the way in, and if it's not sliding on the way in, it's usually trying to get you on the way out, which is the dirtiest one because there's a big dip on the exit of the bus stop, and if it catches you at the wrong time with the wrong amount of throttle, you are done for.
So, Corey, I wanted to ask you about the Lamborghini. There's only 2 of you racing that one. How did you feel because you made it look fast, but I believe in some of the practice before that there were some doubters about the Lambo, but you made it look good. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, look, I love the Lambo. Like, it's pretty much my go-to car. So I've driven thousands and thousands and thousands of laps in it. So for me, it's just making sure that I feel comfortable. And if I'm comfortable in the car and I feel like I can throw the car around, I'm confident in my own ability to sort of race side by side with people and know exactly what the car's going to do. I know a lot of the guys sort of switch to sort of depending on what sort of the strong car is, and you don't build the same rapport. But the Lambo with the setup that I had on tonight was just a missile. Like I think we got to 285 at one stage on the front straight. And yeah, it was a weapon. Like it definitely helped me in the first race where I got Connor by 11 hundredths, I think it was in the end, like right on the finish line. And then it almost got me P2 there with Josh. I had a really good run. I just ran out of track basically. But yeah, I really love the Lambo. It's probably not as fast as say the Porsche or the Ferrari around here. But it's just a solid all rounder. Like it's the BMW is like that neutral car. The Lambo is pretty sort of aggressive a little more, and then the new Porsche is sort of deathly early on, and same with the Ferrari. But yeah, I love the Lambo. I wouldn't change it. And I sort of get mocked. Oh, he's driving the Lambo again. Look at this guy. But yeah, it's great fun.
Yeah, haters watch out, right? One of the things that I'm noticing is that the BMW and the Ferrari seem to be the 2 quickest cars on the straights. I don't know where the Lambo quite sits in with that yet, but I was certainly seeing that down the straights. I was expecting Tao to make big moves in the 911 coming down the straights, but with Aaron in the M4, the gap would close up a little bit, but then towards the end of the straight, it would start stretching out again. It looks like the BMW is quite quick. How did you find the Lambo compared to some of the other faster straight line cars?
I actually think the Lambo has them all, particularly that race. Like, I know that basically if I had a little bit of slip and I got the right angle out of the bus stop, that I was pretty much able to catch almost 3 to 4 tenths on the straight without sacrificing too much through the corners. So I think I ran 0 wing on that tonight, but the car didn't feel like it had no grip, and that was really comforting, particularly going into sort of like turn 1 where it's a heavy braking zone, and the car, if obviously running less downforce, doesn't want to turn in as much, but the car was just it felt like it was on rails. And yeah, I noticed it sort of there and also coming onto the back straight. So the 2 really good parts where you want some speed, so coming onto the straight and then going into the heavy braking zones, it was really good. So I didn't feel like I was at disadvantage top speed wise. So yeah, I think that, and then yeah, as I said, the confidence that I have in the car is amazing. So
the first half of this race and the second half, the first half of this heat and the second half of this heat looked like 2 completely different races for you. The first half, it looked like you got sort of bogged down around P11 to P8. But then after the safety car, it was like a completely different race.
Yeah, I had like a 0x net code with Josh early on, coming onto the back straight, and it spun me out. So I actually dropped back to I think 17th at one stage, and then we obviously had that incident and they had the safety car, and then I was just really fortunate. There was a couple of incidents with guys, so I sort of gained probably 5 or 6 just with guys getting caught up, and then as soon as I had like a little bit of fresh air to put some really good lap times in and sort of get the car feeling the way I wanted to feel. I adjusted some brake bias, and then away we went. And it was, yeah, as I said, the first race I kind of messed myself up because I actually thought that I wasn't going to have enough fuel, so I was actually madly saving in the first race. So, yeah, it was like I was probably losing 3 or 4 tenths a lap. In the first race, just literally because I was trying to save. I think I was trying to save about 3 or 4 liters, but in the end, I actually didn't need to save. So that was comfortable in the second race. That I knew that I had enough fuel in the car to actually make it. So it was just all about making sure that the car felt good to be aggressive and push through to the end.
And Josh, any thoughts about your race?
The car throughout the race, like and Corey's here saying, is it changes a lot throughout the race. So obviously at the start of the race, me and him had that incident, which is unfortunate. And at the start of the race, you're trying to not use up a lot of tyre to sort of get through the race and keep that pace at the end. Because when it happened to me, which is why Corey was catching me so much, is that at the start you tend to, with the reverse top 10, you want to battle and you want to get up and you want to go through everybody, but it just uses up so much tyre that sometimes it's not worth to sit back, which is what I was kind of doing. I was taking my time sitting back. Luckily, there was a couple of accidents, made up some time there, and then that safety car was like just the golden touch on top because everybody bunches up, go for more positions, and you can cool down your tyres and bring them back into that window where you want them to be.
There was certainly more than a couple of people that benefited from that safety car. Tao was one of them. He was quite far back after just an unforced error spinning out, coming out of the bus stop. And he was about 10 seconds back from the lead, which might have put him out of contention for a podium. So yeah, it looked like there was a lot of people. Certainly the later half of the top 10 that got a lot out of that safety car, which I just love this, having a safety car in a series. It just adds a little bit of spice to the races. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose, but you know, I think spice is what makes things tasty.
I agree.
All
yeah,
right, gentlemen.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah, no, you're right. What are your final thoughts, Corey? Give me your final thoughts.
As I was going to say, like the safety car is really good, particularly if you have a bad start. It gives you a free reset basically. So, you can be like, I know I was frustrated because obviously the spin early, I was just cranky. I knew that I was going to have to put my head down and crack on. But then the safety car just allowed me to breathe for a couple of laps and just be like, okay, like, you can do this. You've come second in the first race. You can like push through and things will happen. That's racing. We get caught up with incidents and I was just sort of very lucky that I was able to get through to the end and take the P3. But that was literally the safety car was just a mental reset more than just cooling the tires down and sort of just time.
It does give you some breathing room as well, like physical breathing room. Because driving, you wouldn't think it, but sim racing does take a little bit out of you. So even just those couple laps that you get to just stop. You realize you're death gripping the steering wheel and you're tense and you shake out your shoulders and you get like a mental reset and a bit of a physical reset as well.
Yeah, and the thing is that everyone in this league is sort of their one lap pace is pretty good. Like everyone can sort of bang out a mid to high 43, low 44. So it's purely about just that consistency. So being able to just sort of take a breather in the middle of a race and be like, okay, like just reset, calm yourself down and go again. It's just, you can't sort of describe how good it feels.
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations to both of you. And Corey, you got plans to join us next week? Because you weren't here, next fortnight, because you weren't here last fortnight.
Yes, I plan on finishing off the season.
All right, fantastic. Well, then we will see you in a fortnight from now. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen. So that's it for the second round of our GT3 Championship.
Especially when
and are we still live?
Yes.
Yes, sorry. With Tal Serrano taking the victory in the first race, and then Orbicella taking a stunning defensive victory in round 2. But that's not it for the ANZ Series Week 3. We've got 2 more rounds coming to you this week. First, tomorrow night, we've got NASCAR coming to you live from Atlanta Super Speedway, and we will be live from 7:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time, maybe a little bit before then, so we can catch a little bit of practice. So please tune in for that tomorrow night. Then on Sunday, we have the first round of the Enduro Series. 6 hours at Spa, multi-class series, LMP3, GT3 and GT4, all on track for the same time. Should be a cracker, and entries are still open for that series. Get your entry in by Friday to be on the grid for our first Enduro race of the season, the 6 hours of Spa de Francorchamps. I'm Liam Banks. Alongside me has been Mitch Patterson. We'll be here next week to bring you the second round of the Formula Ford. Until then, please join the ANZ ESeries tomorrow night, and we will see you in a week's time. Good night.